Hello, dear passengers. This is your captain speaking, and we are about to take off for another episode of Adventulina. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of my travel podcast, Adventulina, your weekly travel dose, and hopefully your time to chill and dream about future trips. If you forgot to hit the subscribe button, do it now and make sure you're not missing any travel tips coming your way. It has been a long week for your captain, but when is it not a long week for me? Just how I like it. I came back from a trip and I'm already getting ready for another one because there is still a little bit left from 2024, and I would say let's make it memorable. And with my biggest hobby being creating memories, I'm just staying true to myself again, and I'm spending my November working on that hobby. I mean, if I think about it, I'm pretty much spending my life working on that hobby, but hell yeah. That's why it's a hobby, right? Well, more like an obsession at this point, but who cares? You gotta have one of those too. And there is nothing that brings me more joy than looking at my calendar, knowing that a travel day is approaching. Gives me that sense of purpose. Budget traveling has allowed me to travel more often and to experience these short comebacks at home before I take off for my next destination. I would always pick 12 budget destinations a year rather than 2 or 3 luxury ones for the same period of time. And hey, nothing wrong with enjoying the luxurious ones, let me be clear. It's just not really what I'm looking for. If I remember correctly, the last time when I actually went somewhere to just enjoy the hotel premises and to not do anything really was maybe 9 years ago on a trip to Turkey, which is the best all-inclusive destination in Europe, in my opinion. I was there for almost a week, and believe it or not, I did not have any itinerary whatsoever. I was planless, is that even a word? Planless? I guess it is. And the only scheduled events were the hotel meals that kept happening every 2 hours. That's right, that was the only time I went abroad and I allowed myself to not have a plan and to go with the flow. Although the flow was just constant eating and staying at the beach or the pool. A big reason for me not having a plan back then was not just the nature of the trip, I just wanted to chill, but also the fact that you don't really have to leave the hotel on an all-inclusive vacation. You have everything inside, so why would you leave? Where would you go? Also, where we were in Turkey, we were kind of isolated and there wasn't much around us anyway. I remember though, we went to Bodrum downtown one day and still walked a little bit and shopped, got a hint of the town itself. So maybe sometime in the near future, I would agree to do another trip like this. I don't know, I guess since it's been 9 years, let's make it once a decade, huh? I would think about it. Anyway, I just came back from Lake Tahoe and I feel like this has become the only destination that I don't prepare myself for ever. Lake Tahoe is one of my annual destinations. It's about 4 hours away from San Francisco and I have been lucky enough to visit it at least once per year for the last 4 years. I think this was my 5th time there. Maybe because I know I will eventually go back, I just don't feel the pressure of exploring that much at once. Plus, depending on the season, activities there can be very different. I even remember one rainy trip where we literally stayed at the lodge the whole time, just chilling and playing games, relaxing, and literally leaving just for food or to go to a restaurant. So, with all the complaining from the heat that I've been doing for the last couple of episodes, I really was impatient to go to Tahoe this time. I knew the weather there was going to be exactly what I wanted. I was, checking the forecast every day and I was excited to finally put on a winter jacket. Finally. About 10 days before we head off, I even spotted a small chance of snowfall on one of the days during our stay, but I quickly just lost hope as it disappeared the next time I checked. So, because there was a really good party on Halloween with a DJ that I've been waiting to see, I had to pack my shit before leaving to the club and have everything ready because I was gonna leave shortly after I would come back home from the party. And thank God I packed in advance because I got home super late, and by the time I was going to bed, I only had about an hour and a half until my goddamn alarm was going to ring. Honestly, I was pretty tired, and when I heard my phone ringing, I wasn't sure where I was. I just had this moment that happens to, all of us once in a while. You just wake up and you're like, where the hell am I? Like, what is going on? Like, was I napping? Was I sleeping? What day it is? Like, this was me on Friday morning. Like, I had my eyes half open and I couldn't decide if I was in Bulgaria or San Francisco or the club. I don't know. It took me a second. But the second I remembered who I was and why I was getting up so early, I got fully awake. Because what other thing can get you so excited that you would want to wake up before the sun is up? Like, honestly, what other thing can you be excited about when it's dark outside? What would make you voluntarily get your ass up before dawn? That's right, it's traveling. It has always been traveling. So I got my ass up after an hour and a half of sleep and we left for Tahoe. Immediately after we arrived, I was already even happier because once I stepped outside of the car, I felt the cold and I was like, yes, finally. And also, it's not just because I wanted some cold. Just being in Tahoe after October gives you this vibe that kind of requires cold weather, you know? We had one of the apartments in the lodge, so we were all together, all of us, chilling at the fireplace. It was magical. I wouldn't enjoy it so much if it was warm outside for sure, and maybe we wouldn't even have it on if it was warm outside. We cooked dinner the first night, we went for a ride around the town, and then we played games and stuff. And all of a sudden, I took a look at the big window we had, and what do I see? Snow. It was snowing. I was ecstatic. I wanted to experience some cold. I was tired of the heat. I was dreaming to see some snow, but I didn't know if it was gonna happen. And when I finally was okay with the weather just being cold, it happened. What's so exciting, you ask? Well, I used to live in a country with 4 seasons, and as a child, I experienced pretty cold winters with lots of snow. And this is how I remember my childhood. So, to live in California, in a city with no winter and snow, and a place where they put holiday decoration on palm trees instead of Christmas trees, yes, it is exciting. It makes me reminisce about the old days. It makes me want to be warm and cozy on a freezing day when you're just home and have nowhere else to be. And for the last 4 years, I have seen snow literally 3 times. Yeah, 4 years ago on my first trip to Tahoe, one more time earlier this year in Alaska. Nothing excessive though. You remember how I got there and the season was closed earlier because of the unusual heat. And then now at Tahoe again. So I'll take anything. Even if the snow didn't really stay until the next day, I was happy just to see it, even for a little bit. But anyway, over the weekend, we drove around the lake, pulled over to, check out some vista points, which basically is every single spot around Lake Tahoe. Because yes, it is that beautiful. This place is honestly like a piece of heaven. I remember when I was on my last job in Bulgaria, sending students to the US for summer work and travel program, the people that we would send to Lake Tahoe always wanted to go back. Like, they almost never wanted to switch destinations for their next summer. They just loved it there. And the first time I visited, I understood why. Like, the expectation bar was pretty much set up really high. I had heard hundreds of stories about Tahoe. I had seen multiple videos and photos from my clients, and I felt like I already knew the place. But life is even more incredible than any photo can capture. We also went to Sand Harbor, probably the most popular beach at the lake. It's on the north side. We also went to Tower Creek for bear watching. This is a popular spot for bears to catch some salmon, and although we didn't see any bears there, we saw one on our way back, just aside of the road. Overall, super fun weekend, 3 days. And here's the moment to mention that everywhere I go, if it's one night, I can go with a gym bag. But if it's more than one night, good old carry-on, no matter what. Like, I may not have enough to fill in a carry-on on a 3-day trip, but I will always take it. It's something like an unwritten rule for me. Like, if you're gonna stay more than one night, suitcase. Less can be done in a big bag. So for this 3-day trip, I of course took my carry-on. And as you can imagine, it got filled pretty fast considering the weather at Tahoe. I knew I was packing a little more than I would probably need. Well, it turned out I packed way more than I needed. With all the time spent at the lodge and with jackets primarily being, our outfits for everywhere, there was certainly stuff that I could have left home easily. And honestly, one of the pairs of shoes I brought, I only wore them because I wanted to count them as used on that trip. I had absolutely no desire to wear them. I just wanted to make it worth. But I guess it's better to have something and not need it than need something and not have it. With packing being the worst nightmare for some travelers and being one of my favorite parts, I know I'm a psycho, I was thinking, why don't we talk about packing and how to make this a little less stressful and a little more enjoyable? How to do it in a way that doesn't give us a headache. So let's get into it. There are two kinds of people on this planet. Those who hate packing and those who enjoy doing it so much that they would pack for the whole group if they could. I am the second type. I'm sorry, I love packing, and yes, I'm not kidding. Since I was a kid, packing has always been the sign for me that I'm going somewhere and that something exciting is about to happen. And that's why I don't mind doing it. Right the opposite, I never get tired of it, or at least not yet. Packing is the first step of your trip. Like it or not, you have to pack before you leave. And since this is, something inevitable, you better get good at it. How to pack, what to take, what to leave, and what's the ultimate luggage. Let's talk about all of this. Instead of just putting things in your suitcase without thinking of how and when you're gonna wear them, you better try to reduce the number of items and take only what's needed. After all, you're the one who's going to drag this luggage to the airport and whatever, so pack smart. Over the years, trip after trip, I have been developing my packing skills. Is that even a term? Packing skills? And it's crazy how many hacks and tricks you have when you travel frequently and you experience all kinds of different situations. And I know it took me a while to learn all that, but I would rather share it with you guys now. And this way, maybe some people don't have to waste the same time as me to realize some life-changing and really important things for every traveler. So, passing the wisdom, Passing wisdom and how to fit everything we want in limited space. First of all, how about we start from what to pack? I know, my friends. I know, your head is a mess when you have to decide on what to take. Thinking of the weather, thinking of different types of clothes, thinking of what's comfortable and what's appropriate. You just sit there in the middle of your closet and you go through all the things you possess and nothing looks appropriate to take. We all have been there. Yeah. The easy way for me to do it and the best way to decide on what to take in minutes is to really just think of the type of vacation, the duration of it, and the weather. Once you know that, half of your clothes are off the table. You're not going to bring a night dress on a road trip in a national park. And you're not going to take hiking shoes for a weekend in Vegas, let's say. Once you know what type of trip you're going on, check the weather there. And check it specifically for your dates, of course. Even if it's going to be hot, always get at least one long sleeve jacket or something to put on in case it's a little chilly, Even in the hottest destinations, hot weather means ACs with low temperatures everywhere. Years ago, when I went to the United Arab Emirates, it was so hot even in December, but I was carrying a jacket everywhere because once we entered any kind of mall or store or even bus stop, their bus stops have ACs, it was freezing cold. Like, the difference in the temperature was insane. You can easily get a headache from such a big change. So always a jacket. Also, You may leave from a cold place, and even if you're going to lie down on the beach for 5 days, you may still have, a cold arrival back. So the type of vacation and weather. After that, think about how long your trip is. Of course, the longer, the more things you will need, and vice versa. Knowing how many days you're going somewhere for gives you the approximate number of outfits you need. And that's something super simple, but very important and very underestimated. And this is probably my rule number one. Don't pack clothes, pack outfits. What's the point of just throwing random things in your suitcase without knowing how you're going to combine them? How are you going to mix and match? I know you like that hat and it's gorgeous, but are you going to wear it with whatever you brought? Like, did you bring anything that this hat goes with? You know what I mean? So instead of packing jeans and pants and this and that t-shirt, think of how to match them and how to make more outfits with less items. I hope you're not going there just for the photos, but if you're maybe a model or you're going to be professionally photographed, I would assume you may need an extra suitcase just to carry your outfits, and you're gonna pack way differently. But back to other people, think of clothes that can be worn with different things. Those nice jeans can be worn with a t-shirt, a top, or maybe this top can be worn with a skirt and with some pants and a thin cardigan, so it looks completely different, Variety does not always mean more items. It can mean the same items just combined differently. Knowing your dates and the number of days and nights gives you a clear expectation of how many outfits you need. If your plan is too busy and you're gonna be out all day long, you're pretty much setting yourself up for one outfit per day. If you have night plans, dinner reservations, bring some appropriate outfits for that. Maybe you're planning on going to a nice restaurant to spoil yourself at least once, get some clothes for that. Don't forget airport outfits. For me, once I wear something at the airport, I won't touch it unless I wear it on my way back. It already feels so dirty that I just don't consider it an outfit anywhere between the departure to my destination all the way to coming back home. Then think of a pair of clothes to wear in the hotel. Some comfortable clothes, different from the airport outfit you need for traveling. As you already mentioned, it will be dirty as hell. Definitely not something you want to roll around in your bed. Another thing, PJ or something to sleep with. I have forgotten PJs a few times and I had to sleep in one of my t-shirts that I was planning on wearing as an outfit during the day. So not bringing something to sleep in kind of cut my clothes short because I never go out with something I have slept with. It just doesn't feel right, even if it's the best t-shirt or top. Once I have slept with it, there's no way I'll wear it outside. Not just for the day, most likely permanently. I know it's weird, it's just one of my things. Packing outfits, not clothes, really helps you have a realistic number of things you need without overpacking. Same for the shoes. Choose the ones that are comfortable for the long days of walking. Get a pair of heels or something more casual. If you're gonna, hit a nice restaurant, get that shoes that go with most of your outfits. Shoes can be very inconvenient to pack as they take a lot of space and come in weird shapes. So the less pairs, the better. Also, if you're a person who's really picky about their photos, let's be honest, shoes are barely on any photo. So you can wear the same pair for months and maybe no one is ever gonna notice. I'm always super happy when I have to only bring 2 pairs of shoes. I can literally see how much room in my luggage that makes. The worst thing is when you travel somewhere cold and boots literally take over your carry-on, so you end up wearing the biggest ones despite how uncomfortable they are just to save some room. Which again reminds me of me bringing this gigantic boots pair to Tahoe just to realize I didn't need them. So we already have a list of the clothes we're taking. This is the biggest part of our luggage in 99% of the cases. The one that takes most of the space. If you insist on taking everything you just prepared, you have to adjust the rest to it. Now you have a clear space you can work with for the rest of your belongings. So let's see how that's gonna work. Ladies, we all know that packing our skincare routine products is not just a pain in the ass, but also a ridiculous process that leaves our vanities and bathroom cabinets half empty due to us taking 80% of our stuff on a trip. Packing cosmetics is a shit show. Like, you have to take almost everything, and it sucks because those items are always heavy and weirdly shaped. Most of the time, your favorite makeup and skincare, hair care, come in big bottles, and not all of our preferred products have a travel size version. And we don't always want to squeeze our products into travel size containers because, let's admit it, we always squeeze more and we end up leaving the rest in the travel size container, then it never gets used, a complete waste. I can't remember a time when I have traveled with friends and everyone always had everything when it comes to essentials like shampoo, toothpaste, and stuff like that. There is always at least one person who forgot one of those things, who wanted to buy it from the airport or from the supermarket next to the hotel, and they just forgot it. It's almost impossible to have all of those little things that we need for our hygiene. The thing that works best for me is this. Instead of looking at my products and taking everything I use and putting it in my luggage, I go step by step through my routine. Okay, I go to take a shower. What do I do? What do I use? Body wash, sponge, body scrub, etc. Take all those. Then I'm gonna wash my hair. What's my routine for that? Shampoo, conditioner, mask, spray. Take all of them. After shower routine, what do I do? Body lotion, body cream, whatever. Skincare, the same. Just do your packing based on your steps and the products you use during them. Pack. Just pack it. Back to the duration of the trip. If you're only going away for the weekend and you had just washed your hair and you're one of the people with extremely dry hair like me, you're not gonna need those products for the weekend. Why drag all the hair wash products when you know you're not gonna use them? They're the heaviest and the biggest. I know almost every hotel provides those essentials, but the shampoo you will find in your room most of the time is very cheap and low quality. And if you're strictly sticking to a specific brand or ingredients, or you have a sensitive scalp, don't risk. Always bring your shampoo. Basically, go through your routine and all the products that you use throughout the day and pack them. You will have the same routine there, so that's what you need. It would be ideal if you have travel size items of your regular products, so you can just bring them instead of taking the big bottles. Sometimes you won't even be allowed to take the big bottles because of the limit in the ounces anyway. After you have packed all of your must products, when it comes to cosmetics, essentials, and makeup, think about the other things that you don't need on a daily basis, but you may need during your vacation. Pack them too. This can also include hair accessories. I don't wear scrunchies every day. It's not part of my routine, but on vacation, I take at least one, knowing that at least on my way back, I will want to put up my hair in a ponytail and kind of forget about everything. If you're finished with cosmetics, let's go underwear. Does anyone else pack underwear for vacation like they're going to shit their pants twice every day? I'm pretty convinced that adults take more pairs of underwear than they would pack for their infants for a vacation. Like, there's just something really indescribable in the thought of running short on underwear, and it makes you pack like a maniac. Like, oh, I need 10 pairs for those days. Let's take 17 just in case. You know what I mean? The urge of overpacking underwear is inevitable. You can never help it. So regardless of what I'm gonna say, just do your thing. I know you're not gonna listen, so just do your thing. For girls, this part of packing comes with bras, with many other extras, so the list gets longer. Socks take more space than we would want them to, but throw just 5 extra pairs just in case, just like the underwear. After I have prepared my outfits, my cosmetic essentials, and I have overpacked, obviously, the underwear, I go to accessories. A small jewelry case is super helpful for traveling with your earrings, necklaces, rings, and stuff. It doesn't take much space and it keeps them separate and not tangled. Some people also use pillowcases, for example. Another of my rules when packing, which I think is pretty simple, but really helps me gather everything faster. So before I start packing, I make sure there is nothing on my bed. Then I start taking clothes that I need for my trip from my closet and I just throw them on the bed. As I progress with packing things from my closet, I just keep throwing them there, and this way I know everything that is on the bed needs to go in the suitcase. It really helps with being realistic about how much you can take because trust me, once you see that pile on your bed growing like a monster, you will control yourself and you'll be more careful about how much you're gonna throw on. The other thing that this bed technique helps me with, that sounded nasty by the way, is not missing anything that I was planning on taking. Because let's admit it, packing is a chaos. Things get mixed up with stuff you're not planning on taking, and you end up either bringing something that you didn't want to or forgetting something. Having everything you need on your bed with no other stuff makes it easy to pack and know nothing is missed and nothing extra will be in your suitcase. Everything on needs to get in. My third and very important rule is play Tetris. For real. People think I joke when I say it, but packing is no different than playing Tetris, guys. I swear spending countless hours on that freaking game as a kid finally paid off, and I can say yes, that actually helped me in life, which I cannot say about some things we even learned in school, you know? But anyway, packing is after all a Tetris game, and maybe because I loved playing Tetris so much as a kid, I started loving packing game too. It's pretty much the same thing but bigger with real size objects, you know. Once you start putting everything in your suitcase, there will be space here and there to use, so you gotta be good at that game and put what fits best. I don't wait to gather all my stuff and then to start packing. When I'm ready with the outfits, I put them in. Then one by one, as I get ready, I add stuff. This way you have a real understanding of what's left as space. A lot of people use packing cubes. I don't necessarily think they are a must. I think if you know how to place your items in a suitcase, you will be fine without using packing cubes. They don't make much difference space-wise, I would say. The bigger benefit from them is that your stuff is organized and it's easier to find things later when you arrive to your destination. I, for example, don't use packing cubes for my clothes, but I do use some small bags or toiletries bags. For sure, one for my underwear, socks, PJs, and stuff like this. For my makeup and toiletries, I use one of those bags that open and has two pockets along with a middle pocket. Not sure if the description will ring a bell, but I'm sure you guys have seen it. They're really cool, super convenient. You can use the handles to put them on a hook and you have all your stuff on the wall. And because the inside part of the bag is made from plastic, you can see everything and it takes only a second to find stuff. I love this bag and it's one of my travel accessories that I'm not planning on changing anytime soon. I used to roll my clothes. I was convinced at first that this saves me space. I saw it somewhere maybe 10 years ago and started doing it, but it wasn't a while until I realized that the only good thing coming from rolling your clothes before packing is that they don't get wrinkled. Other than that, it takes the same space, if not even more. Plus, you can't really roll everything, honestly. Imagine rolling a really thick sweater or something super long. Like the rolls get insanely big, it's like a ball, so it's pretty inconvenient. When I have a lot of shit, especially if I travel to a cold place and I need thicker clothes, I usually just place them almost one on top of another. No folding. Imagine just putting a sweatshirt on the bottom of your suitcase, with of course the sleeves tucked around. The more you fold thick clothes, the faster you will fill your suitcase. Place them on top of each other as a really neat and nice pile, I would say, where the sleeves will just fill the gaps of what's left in the suitcase. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I should take a video. Sometimes, if I don't have big jackets and stuff, I put tote bags or hats or towels, stuff like that, in between. So when I close my suitcase, those items kind of go in the middle and fill in the gap between the two parts of my suitcase. I know a lot of people pack shoes first and put them on the bottom of their luggage. I usually do the same, but I divide each pair and pack both left and right shoes individually in their own plastic bags. This way I can split them and use whatever gaps I find in the suitcase. I hate traveling with a pair of big shoes because sometimes I will have to either put them in my backpack and kiss goodbye a lot of space, or I have to wear them just so I have more room, and of course, they're super uncomfortable to stay with for hours. Once I'm ready with basically everything, I put the biggest clothes on top. There's always room, as I said, in between both sides of your suitcase. You can always stretch it out a little bit more or use the outside zippers to give yourself an extra inch. That's how I carry my big jackets because, of course, whatever big I have, I will wear it at the airport so it doesn't take room in my luggage. But if you have a few big things because you're going somewhere really cold, it's gonna go in the middle of your suitcase. And it gets super wrinkled because, imagine how squeezed this thing is and for how many hours it's gonna be there, but it's all good. At least it's there. All the things like electronics, wires, I put them in my backpack. I would say it doesn't matter to me if I have a carry-on or a big suitcase. I always have a backpack. And I always think of this backpack as here's where I would put the most important things and also the things I will need during my flight. I may have a carry-on chilling over my head, but I'm not getting up and I'm not looking for anything in it. This is too much work and I'm too lazy, especially on flights. You just can't make me do it. I want everything literally a foot away from me. So what I put in my backpack, my laptop, sometimes two of them. If I go somewhere for over 10 days, all my wires and adapters are packed in their own bag. I have a notebook and a book most of the time, a pen, my headphones, a perfume, to be fresh all the time. Plus, I don't want to think about it leaking in my suitcase because it can happen in both carry-on and also checked luggage. One time I remember on my way back from the States to Bulgaria, I asked one of my friends to take a couple of my toiletries because I didn't have room, and one of them opened and spilled all over her stuff. I felt so bad. I think it was some hair product, maybe even a conditioner, so it was even harder to clean. Oh, this reminds me, after this happened, me asking my friend for a favor and then fucking up her stuff, I started using a piece of tape on all caps so I can prevent the leaking. It was a little bit of a pain to tape all of this shit, but at least I knew I wasn't gonna deal with some kind of slippery explosion once I opened my luggage. And if you use a good toiletry bag, then the spill will be literally inside, so, one more reason to get one of those bags. Back to the backpack, I also usually put an extra pair of clothes, but nothing crazy, just yoga pants, a shirt, something like this. Depending on the type of flight, I may have a pair of socks, toothbrush, and other night routine stuff, for long flights. Snacks for sure. We know how cranky I get when I'm hungry. Sometimes I also use my backpack to fit whatever I couldn't fit in my suitcase. It's rare for a backpack to be weighted, so a lot of people sneak in with way more than it's supposed to be. As long as you can fit it under the seat, that's all you care about. Cameras, if you have additional devices except for your phone. I, for example, often bring my Polaroid camera. Sometimes I have a fanny pack in my backpack just so I can keep there my wallet, documents, portable charger, the most important things, This way I can quickly take it out of my backpack and have everything together. Maybe even put the fanny pack on myself. If you're only allowed one piece of luggage, just make sure the crew doesn't notice. So let's briefly wrap up what to leave at home. Leave those uncomfortable shoes. If you're going to walk all day long, it's not worth taking it. Just for a few pictures, you're going to end up with blisters and they will stay with you for the rest of your vacation. So leave them. Also, leave this useless outfit you have never worn. You won't wear it now either. You just think you will. So leave it too. Leave the second book. Leave the second book you got. It's heavy, it's big. Most of the time, you won't have a chance to finish one book. Unless, of course, you're going somewhere for a month just to chill, which I would be jealous of. But in any other case, maybe you don't need a second book. 2 perfumes? Do you really need them? Some people use one every day for years, but when they go on a trip, they take a second one. Just in case, And the case never comes, never happens. Leave the bad mood and don't worry about the trip. Enjoy your vacation. Leave the expectations to see everything. You never know what can happen. You never know how the weather can change. Be aware that some of your plans may not happen, and that's okay. Sometimes a wrong turn can take you through some of the prettiest streets, as they say. Literally. You may meet someone or experience something amazing while being lost or being at a place you're not supposed to be. And I love how I'm giving this advice, and deep inside, I'm the person who gets so upset when things don't go as planned. But anyway, that's a different topic. What to leave home because it's not allowed? It's not that we don't really need it. Sometimes it's just not allowed. Make sure you check all the requirements of the airline you're flying with, but remember, for most of them, the list is pretty similar. Dangerous sharp objects, liquids more than 100 milliliters, 3.3 ounces for your carry-on, stuff like this. Few tips and reminders. A lot of people forget to get a bag for laundry, and it's not a big deal. You can pretty much use any plastic bag for it, but I always like to put a designated laundry bag in my underwear bag. It makes sense for it to be there, and it's convenient. If you travel with checked-in luggage and a carry-on, as much as I hate to be pessimistic and to make people paranoid, I think it's good to think of your carry-on as something you might be left with. You know where I'm going with this. Imagine, God forbid, your checked-in luggage is delayed. All you have will be your stuff on board, so pack smart. Make sure in case of unpleasant surprise, you have at least something to wear, or you have enough to replace what's in your delayed luggage. Hopefully you'll never experience that, but better prepared and not needing it than unprepared and needing it. I always recommend putting a list together for packing. If you don't travel frequently and packing is not your favorite thing, you may be overwhelmed and distracted to the point that you will forget something. Having a list always helps. I've shared before that I even use the same list on my way back just to make sure I got everything from the hotel, hostel, or wherever I stay at. Being in a hotel is usually easy. You just get whatever you see and doesn't belong to the hotel property, and you just put in your suitcase. But let's say you're staying with friends or a hostel. Chances for something to get lost or forgotten are bigger, because it's not just an empty room you're leaving behind. Having a list for packing doesn't mean you have to start writing and not pack until you're done. You can start the list days, weeks in advance, and make sure you keep adding, as the trip gets close. I constantly remind myself of some stuff, and I have these moments where I decide, I'm gonna take this, but do you think that thought would stick if I don't write it down? No, it will be gone in 10 minutes. One of the most unpleasant experiences when traveling is forgetting something you need. It can really affect not just our mood, but the whole trip, depending on how important that thing is, They say smart people take notes, stupid people remember. I don't know where I heard this, but I love it. Don't try to remember everything. You can't. That's why we have our notebooks, our reminders, our computer, our calendar. Take advantage of them. Make a list. Don't leave it for the last moment. Some items take time to get, and they might not be available the day before your trip. Making a list not only helps you pack for your vacation without missing important things, but also helps you not forget anything on your way back, because let's admit it, we all have left a beauty product in the bathroom of a hotel or have forgotten a t-shirt under the covers of the bed. And no, we don't always get them back. Most likely, we won't even bother to call the place and ask for whatever we left behind. Before you head to the airport or get into your car, make sure you have all the documents required. Start with your identification documents. Go through your boarding passes, if available earlier, if needed to be printed out, wallet with cash, cards, backup cards. Check your devices and the chargers. Who needs a camera with 5% battery and no opportunity to charge it? Who wants to spend extra money on a charger that you have home but you forgot to take? No one, right? Also check the important medication, if any, and always take more just in case. Doesn't matter how hot it is where you're going, again, always pack at least one thicker sweatshirt or a thin jacket. Going to a super hot country, I already said, means that the air conditioners inside will be set up at much lower temperature, and sometimes this is a big difference and discomfort for your body. Also, the temperature during the day might be high, but sometimes, it will completely change after the sun sets down. And don't forget, pack smart, not hard. The phrase is, I will wear that for sure. I will definitely put that on with these shoes. We've all said it again and again until we reach our destination and see that half of our clothes are destined to stay right where we put them before our trip in our suitcase. Traveling is exciting and we always want to look good. Let's admit it, photos are a huge part of our trip, so we want to make sure we, don't end up looking bad or underdressed for something that is going to stay a memory for life. The truth is that we want to have different outfits for every possible weather situation, even if the country we are going to only has one season. Like we all say, you never know. Also, we don't really know what kind of mood we're gonna be in, and everyone would agree that does affect our fashion decisions. So no matter how much you like specific clothes and how good they look on you, make sure you can actually put them on where you're going. Because again, what's the point of bringing a pair of heels if you're going to spend 5 days in Disney World? Why bring a fancy outfit if you're going to hike through the mountains and there are no restaurants? Think about where you're going, what are you going to visit, and what is going to be comfortable to wear for long hours. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope next time you guys pack, you actually think of some of these tips, Maybe some of you will actually start enjoying packing. Knowing how to pack means more space for more stuff you can take. So instead of packing light because you don't have enough room, pack right. This will do the trick. I feel like a lot of people don't like packing because it's related with a lot of thinking and a lot of different scenarios being considered. But just like everything, if you have a plan, it's easier to know what you're doing. So plan your packing better and make your next trip less stressful because, hey, you're supposed to be in a good mood when you're packing because you're going somewhere, and that's what matters. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this episode, so thank you guys again for listening. I remind you to subscribe to Adventulina on whichever platform you're listening, and thank you guys again for the support. I will see you soon for the next episode, which is landing shortly. Bon voyage!